everybody, I'm starting with Pixlr. You should be looking at this and opening an image. Hopefully you downloaded the image. This image is called Rio Grande. Also make sure that you are logged in. You can log in with your Google account. This is a picture from the Rio Grande, which is a river that flows through the United States and Mexico. I took this picture when I was in New Mexico, not too far outside of Albuquerque. And for this obvious changes activity, we're going to be using a color replace tool. And we're going to be replacing this blue sky and then parts of the river. You want to have a brush as big as 200 because we're going to be doing some broad, fairly quick strokes. And I'm choosing a tolerance of 11, which means it's going to look around at the different pixels, and it's going to replace the pixels I tell it to replace by clicking with the color that I told it to replace them with. So I'm going to go down here to the color picker. In the color picker, you have a bunch of different ways that you can pick colors. I'm going to use the web colors because I just like the ease of being able to choose from something that doesn't have so broad of a selection. And I'm going to choose this lightish purple color because I don't want it to be too outrageously different, but I want it to be obvious that I have made a change. So I'm going to say OK. Computer science students, FYI, you may see some hexadecimal stuff going on over here. So I'm going to take this and I am going to begin my painting with this brush, and I'm just going to be going over this whole sky. So I'm going to start with this part, and you can see that while you're doing this, it's actually picking up and coloring the pixels that are closest to each other. So without letting go of my mouse, I'm really just moving around this area, and you can see that this part that doesn't change because it's significantly lighter, which you may not have noticed right away, but we have the tolerance really low. So now I'm going to get into that area, and I'm going to keep painting with my purple brush. Getting close to the edges. I have to be a little bit careful, but not too careful because I don't mind if they have a little bit of a purple to them. And then I'm going to make my brush smaller to get this last part. And then I'm also going to get some of these edges. And I got a bit of these edges, so I'm going to get these ones too. Increase this a little bit, let's say to 70, and then try to get this part. To make a dramatic edge. So here you can see the colors a little bit more, and you can see this purple coming down. Then for this part, I'm going to choose another color, and I'm just going to lightly cover the river. Again, I'm going to increase this to 200. I'm actually going to increase the tolerance, and what I'm hoping to get is just some hues of color as I'm going through here. This picture and a lot of the Southwest and New Mexico area doesn't have a lot of vibrant colors, so sometimes it's fun to liven it up with some colors. So I'm going to use a blue. You can use any color you want. You can choose them from here. And I'm going to begin painting my river. And now I've added a splash of color to the river. If you're looking for something a little more vibrant and more exciting, you can try a brighter color, like an orange perhaps. And just keep in mind that what's happening is, as it's identifying those areas, it's painting in with those colors. That actually ended up being a lot like the original, so let's try something wilder, like a bright green. I think this actually goes a bit nicer with the skyline. So notice that because the tolerance is as high as 53, these are getting colored as well. Whereas if I was very specific about the pixels, you noticed the purple avoided this area. As soon as I'm finished with a picture, with Pixlr, there's different ways to save. So I can click on Save. One of my options is JPEG, which you guys are pretty accustomed to. Another choice is this layered Pixlr image, which is if I'm going to be working on this in the future, which I'm not. So I'm just going to save it as a JPEG. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to make sure that it is in my Term 1 folder. I am going to call it Rio Grande Color Replacement. Forgot my last name. And I'm just going to save it there in my Term 1 folder. And now it's your turn to pick a picture that you would like to use the color replacement tool on, and go ahead and follow the same instructions and create a photo, save it in your Term 1 folder that has an obvious change like the color replacement tool, which is a great tool from Pixlr.